All right, you guys, go ahead and get started. Apologies for the delayed start. I was actually still editing for today's show. Thanks everybody for showing up. Wow, you guys, Trump is now selling MAGA Donald's merch. I'm not making this up. MAGA Donald's merch. Wow. Now, we had mentioned MAGA Donald's. Unfortunately, that was after he actually announced this. I had not heard of this until now, but apparently he's sent out these T-shirts to the people who are interested in his McDonald's work session. MAGA Donald's with Trump out the drive-through window. Now, we'll get more into the MAGA magician McDonald's cult tomorrow, because there's something very profound connecting this whole McDonald's arches to a secret witch's alphabet that was used by the MAGA cult, the ancient MAGA cult. And so I believe this is where the McDonald's arches came from. So we'll break all that down tomorrow. But today, we are going to take a trip back in time. Where are we going? Well, I'm going to show you several videos from just before, during, and shortly after election 2016. Some of these videos were before Trump won the election, and we warned about a president that would rule over a pandemic. We also exposed the Trump-Hillary relation, and we were positive that he would not lock her up. We also exposed Trump's duality long before he was wearing the blue and red ties, and long before two Trumps were ever talked about. Now, these aren't long videos. These are short videos that I'm going to show you, because that was the format back then. We didn't do the longer live shows like we do today. So I'm going to show you these short videos, and you can see the timestamps of when they published 2016 before he was ever president. Now, this first one I'm going to show you is me talking about Trump's connection to Hillary through a common cousin named John of Gaunt. John of Gaunt had a fictitious cough. Literally, that's how it's described. A fictitious cough. Now remember, this was long before COVID-19. I also mentioned the number 19 and talked about its significance 4 years before the COVID pandemic. Well, let's take a look. Now, we're going to look at about 5 videos today from that era, and we're going to get into some other aspects of all this as well. Well, let me say good morning to you guys first. Good morning. Oh, and then at the end of the show, I'll give you my predictions for this next 4 years if Trump wins the presidency. And then we can, 4 years from now, look back and see if we were accurate. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, why are we doing this show today? Well, because a lot of people have time amnesia. They forget the accuracy of some of this work, and therefore it's ineffective because people forget. So we're going to remind you today of all of the foreknowledge and foreshadowing that we tried to warn people about all the way back in 2016. Now, here we go. This is the first video. Let's watch this.
Why are the two presidential candidates of the United States related to a man named John of Gaunt, 19th cousins? And why is this man, this John of Gaunt, why was he born on March 6th, the 66th day of the year with 299 left? And why is Hillary Clinton, who is also related to John Gaunt and Trump, why was she born on the 299th day of the year with 66 remaining? And lastly, why is Donald Trump born on the 166th day of the year with 199 remaining, the same Donald Trump that's related to Hillary and John Gaunt? And last but not least, why is John Gaunt's name and a peculiar fictitious cough mentioned in this book, The Adventures of John Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, the same John Gaunt that is related to the Hillary Clinton with some kind of fictitious cough, who was born on these 6699 synchronistic dates that are shared with Trump and John Gaunt. A book that was written in 1700s, right around the time that John Gaunt lived. A fictitious cough, when seasonably introduced, contributes to render one both interesting and venerable, and is, as it were, an indication of steady thoughts. And last but not least, why is John Gaunt's name mentioned in this study about tuberculosis? The UK government has begun to respond to the renewed threat of tuberculosis. The report I'm waiting for is its contribution to the study of tuberculosis internationally. Just as no man is an island sufficient of himself, so no island is an island in infectious terms. The protective moat we are ringed with against infection in the land and the hand of war, so eloquently described by John of Gaunt and Richard II, offers no defense against tuberculosis. Take care and be safe, you guys.
So, infection, John of Gaunt, fictitious coughs, breathing, tuberculosis, breathing the last breath. Now, this goes on. Let me turn the music off on this. I'm not sure about copyright. We used to put soundtracks to a lot of the work that we did and did shorter format long before the shorts were popular. And so look at this, you guys. It talks here about the breathing. Tongues of dying men. And what else here? Let's skip through this. The Duke of York, Venom, and let's see what else is in here. These videos are playing super slow just because I've got so many tabs open, but infection serves it in the office of a wall. Now, in fairness, Trump was already talking about a wall back in 2015. This is really weird, isn't it? This John of Gaunt connection and the birthdays of Hillary and Trump. Now, both Hillary and Trump also appear in Back to the Future. And we'll get into that in a little bit later in the show. But first, here's another one we did before election 2016. And this one is a bridge in Dallas. And we noticed that it looked like the eye of a needle with thread running through it. Now I'm going to turn the soundtrack off on this one. The bridge is named after a woman who shared Trump's birthday. Again, this was 2016, just before the election, 8 years ago. And let me show you guys the date, September 18th, 2016. And what we said in this video had to have been a foreshadowing of the vaccine, because obviously the vaccine's a needle. But there's a little bit more to this, because we also show the Kennedy assassination marked on a map here, which of course is the assassination attempt, the alleged assassination attempt of Trump, and all of the synchronicities, the entire live action role play that happened comparing him to JFK to garner the support of as many conservatives as they can to sign off on all of this. Let's play a little bit of this. And I put the verse in here from then, that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And this is actually live footage of, not live footage, but real footage of me driving through the eye of the needle in Dallas. And as we skip forward through this, I look over into the skyline. I don't know if that's the moon. No, I think that's just a light out there. Driving through the streets of Dallas. Now, at that time, I lived in Dallas. It's amazing where God takes us in our journey. I noticed the IXXI building in Dallas, which is 9/11, and then looked up Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. They call it the Kissing Camels Club, and noticed that she died on Trump's birthday at the age of 91. Until is 88. Now, we had replayed some of these videos before, but going into this election, it's very important to understand what this is all about. The bridge actually opened on the 88th day of the year, March 29th, the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. Then I showed these shots of the moon. Of course, Trump was born on an eclipse, a lunar eclipse. So all this seems to be pointing forward to the future Needle Nation. Here's the map with the Kennedy assassination clearly marked on it, pinpointed, and the right next to the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. Now, who would have known all this? I don't think anybody was talking about a pandemic or an attempted assassination on Trump back in 2016 before he even won the election. Now, let's keep going. There's some more videos here. Let's close out some of these tabs. Now, did I go as far as to actually warn people about a coming pandemic on Trump's watch? Actually, I did. In this next video that I'm going to show you, now this was 2018. This was actually 1 year, almost 2 years before the pandemic. This was the video that we did warning about a coming pandemic. Let's take a look.
I mean, whoever could have imagined that they would have released spores over the United States to kill all of us? This is from Death Magnetic, one of the singles released in 2008 on the date of the eclipse. This is unbelievable, you guys. Not playing the audio. Spores are collected. Revival organism causes a zombie apocalypse. Spores under their control. And it's time for the U.S. to basically pay the piper because we have waged war around the world. Russia makes samples. They put them up in a balloon across the United States. Here you see the trajectory, very similar to the eclipse path that we showed you guys. American forces spot the craft, but the altitude is unreachable. What were these balloons at 80,000 feet that NASA dropped? This is from 2008, you guys. Follows the jet stream, windborne. There's your strain, zombie apocalypse. Everything we've been talking about. This is right out of the FX series, The Strain. And on the actual day of the eclipse, they showed us that the master is here. Now, I don't know what this is all about. I don't know if they're using this to spread fear. My problem that I have with this is that no one else is making these connections. So how can this be creating fear if no one's making the connection between these NASA balloons and so on and so forth? So I don't understand that. It's like we're the only ones who see this. I'll put the link in the description. I didn't play the audio, obviously, for copyright. I know Metallica's very, very strict about their copyright. And we're seeing the strain. They show the headless zombie. They say it takes weeks to master stairs. FX tweeted out, "The master is here on the eclipse." You had to cut the heads off the zombies in the strain in order for them to die. And here you see the headless zombie who gets reanimated. And The Day That Never Comes, which was the single from that same album that released on the date of eclipse, 8/21, the day that never comes is the eclipse, because it says, "But the sunshine never comes, no sunshine never comes." And here's the end of that music video as he looks up in the sky. And there's your eclipse. Metallica. And the last song on the album, My Apocalypse, as you can see here, mentions in the lyrics an eclipse, total eclipse. So we cross that line. The line of the totality of the eclipse. We, being America, we cross that line. Total eclipse, suffer unto my apocalypse, are the lyrics to the last song on that album. We just covered The Day That Never Comes, All Nightmare Long, Day and Night. That's the eclipse. And the balloons dropping on that eclipse. Now, where did Metallica get this idea that balloons would be dropped over the United States with poison in them and disease? Well, they probably got the idea from the Vengeance balloons that the Japanese were planning on launching over the Pacific Northwest, in which a person in Bly, Oregon, several people died because one of these exploded. They had bombs and disease. Bly, Oregon was the place where my father passed away in a car accident. And the first balloons were launched in 1944. They began landing over the United States. This is real. This is history. It was called Operation Cherry Blossom. 9/22/1945 was the scheduled date. Unit 31 was a specialized Japanese military that specialized in biological and chemical warfare. And their plan was to drop bubonic plague, cholera, and smallpox. This 731 group also did live human dissections. This is all in Wikipedia. 6 Americans were killed near Bly, Oregon, which is where my father died. And this is unbelievable because this is real. Because we dropped the nuclear bomb, They were never able to launch these. It was scheduled to launch September 22nd, but was not realized because it surrendered Japan in August. So yes, Japan did plot to unleash a plague on the United States with balloons. Now, here are the balloons. They look much like the balloons that NASA launched over the United States during the eclipse. As we just saw Metallica, they showed the exact same scenario, except Russia was the one launching the bombs. The plan of the Japanese was to create forest fires with the bombs and also unleash disease into the United States. Some of these were filled with fleas that were infected with bubonic plague. The eclipse occurred on the 233rd day of the year, and these balloons from Japan were 33 feet in diameter, and their cargo was a 33-pound anti-personnel fragmentation bomb. I'm going to leave links to all this. It's all here. They plan on launching these off of submarines that reached off of our coast. And then they were going to load them up with disease and launch these balloons, have them be carried by...
So obviously we're talking about disease coming across the jet stream, starting in the Pacific Northwest, going across the United States, which is exactly how COVID went down a year after this happened. We talked about it being kicked off by an eclipse, which is exactly what happened with COVID. It started on the December Christmas eclipse of 2019 were the first cases. And for the next 4 years, the entire world was changed. Were these hints of a coming event? I believe so. You can't get more specific than this. And all of it released on the Death Magnetic, which now we know about graphene, and now we understand how all that fits in with all this. The black magnet goo. So, this was dated 2018. I show maps, I show the eclipse path, and all this in this video. Now, what else can we look at? Well, let's take a look at Trump's energy plan. Remember, he was talking about, doing nuclear power plants all over, saying there's going to be so much electricity, we're not going to know what to do with it. We're going to ask him, beg him to turn off the electricity. Well, all of that was depicted in Back to the Future, long before Trump talked about revolutionizing America's electricity grid. Again, this decode published before the election, 2016. Let's take a look, you guys. Now, Hillary Clinton's birthday is also in this decode, as well as Trump's, of course, in Back to the Future as well. Both dates actually appear in here. Let's skip forward to this part here. Here are the nuclear power plants. Let's watch.
Off at the top. Discover how in 1979 Biff successfully lobbied to legalize gambling.
That up a little bit. Sorry.
Biff Tannen Museum. They show the museum. There's the comb over. Donald Trump. Learned how Biff parlayed that lucky winning streak. And you look here and it looks like Ditko, which is Ditka, even because the BIFF is cut off at the top. Discover how in 1979 Biff successfully lobbied to legalize gambling. Now, what's this about? In Turnhill Valley's dilapidated courthouse in a beautiful casino hotel. Mike Ditka did appear to support Trump. So maybe this was a foreshadowing. And of course, Mike Ditka had gambling.
Now, wow, right? Now, I dug into this. Here's a closer screenshot of Biff depicted as Trump, of course, in front of these two nuclear power plants, or these cooling towers. San Andreas Nuclear Power Plant, BIFCO Enterprises. And this whole gambling matrix thing also came about under the Trump presidency. But first, let's look into BIFCO. Because according to the plot line of Back to the Future, BIFCO, the nuclear facilities, opened in that magical year, 1958. In 1958, he soon used his money and started his namesake nuclear power plant, BIFCO, which eventually grew into a massive industrial empire and became one of the most richest and powerful men in America, while he enjoys his newfound fortune and everything, including chasing the world's beautiful women, owning a yacht he named Monkey Business, and owning his own namesake mansion, Tannen Manor, somewhere in California. Now, what else is going on? Well, you heard in that decode that I talked about gambling, legalized gambling. So I wanted to know if there was any significant change in gambling under Trump's presidency. And absolutely there was. The year was 2018. And according to this is when the Supreme Court basically legalized sports betting. Now, this has become a problem, hasn't it? Because ever since then, it almost seems like the NFL is fixed. Some of these games are fixed. There are whole channels made out there of people showing that there's magnets inside the rims of basketballs, just basketballs doing weird things. You've got NFL teams also messing with the spread, making the games a lot closer than they should be so that they don't have to pay out as much money. So sports betting is a thing. And it became much bigger after the Supreme Court, Trump's Supreme Court, legalized sports betting with one of their decisions. I'll put a link to this story so you can read more into this. But this happened under the Trump presidency, just as we saw in Biff do in Back to the Future. Legalized betting. Wow. Now, what else is going on? Well, there's another. Let's see here. Where'd it go? There's another mention of an assassination attempt. Let's go in here.
And in 1985, it actually ended in 1973 on March 29th, the 88th day of the year, when the exact day that I was born. So we have some very peculiar 88 synchronicities here. Reflective synchronicities is what I'm starting to call them. Here we see the day ends October 27th, and last but not least, the film released on November 22nd, 1989, the exact day that JFK was shot in Dallas, Texas, and killed. His Roman birthday, his Gregorian birthday is May 29th.
So, another JFK mention. Again, nobody knew Trump would be assassinated or tried an attempted assassination or the live action role play of such back in 2016. Nobody was talking about that. Now, how about lithium? So we're talking about energy sources as well. Well, we were talking about lithium. This was back in 2013. Lithium has become the central power source of electric technology. And here you're going to listen to me talk about lithium. Some lithium rockets that popped off on the 4th of July back in 2013. Let's listen. NASA's 4th of July fireworks, 2 rockets launching today. They admit here that these rockets were filled with lithium and were spraying this lithium into the atmosphere for some sort of testing. I'll read down here. Today's planned 4th of July is a study of global electric current in the Earth's ionosphere between 30 and 600 miles above the planet's surface. This current, also known as a dynamo, is used every day by people on Earth, officials said. Later down in their article, they actually tell us that these particular rockets were filled with lithium. It says here, Terrier, Orion sounding rocket, and is built to release a long trail lithium gas into the ionosphere. Now, there's no way I could have known that these rockets were going to launch. It says here the smaller booster is 33 feet. Okay, 33. We're going to look at butyllithium hexamer. This is a diamond. This is a diamond too, but at this angle is a hexagon and the Star of David. Now you can find these images by doing a Wikipedia search on lithium, and you will find that the hexamer is this shape here. This is the hexamer, butyllithium hexamer. I believe this is our diamond that we were supposed to stay away from on the 4th of July, but as I said, many of us did not have a choice. So this is Enter the Stars. Take care and be safe, you guys.
Now, just last year, we were going on and on about the rise of lithium. Here's the video, November 17th, 2023. Got about 8,500 views. The rise of the lithium Illuminati is what I named the video. The thumbnail was the Smackover Formation in southern Arkansas. And I was going on and on about how Republican Governor Huckabee sold us out to the electric kingdom, again, by giving us the Republican version of liberal ideologies, right? This is what they've been doing. They give us the Republican version of liberal ideologies. So here's what I hear from fellow conservatives out here. They said, well, wouldn't you rather have conservatives manage lithium mining than liberals? This is how dumbed down people are. They don't understand that they're still mining for lithium to support the electric kingdom. So last year we were talking about this, and I told you that lithium mining was a bipartisan effort across many states in America, and that they were finding lithium inside of dormant volcanoes, probably as a gift from Tlaloc, the ancient god of electricity, and that it was a reward for all of the human sacrifice that they've done. And we talked all about this, remember? Well, guess what? Now it's front page news. We talked about also how lithium mining was so toxic that it ruins groundwater and habitats. And here we are. Fast forward to now, October 23rd, 2024. Vast deposit of white gold in Arkansas could be stunningly valuable. They're saying that there's enough lithium in southern Arkansas to meet the world's needs 9 times over. Remember this? The Smackover Formation. We were making a joke about it last year. So now you know that the efforts here are not just empty. We're actually talking about things before they happen. The frustration is there's no urgency when we talk about them. And then when it's already too late, that's when everyone goes, oh, you were talking about that. This is the frustration, because now we can't back out of this mining contract. Back then I was saying, you guys, you have to write into Huckabee. You have to say something. The conservatives have to stand up, because this is going right along with the electric kingdom. And this is the frustration of relevancy too. Like, if you're not a relevant channel, all the work that you're doing doesn't get out to the people that it needs to get out to. And YouTube has tried to make us irrelevant. We won't stop, but this is the frustration.
if you don't understand why the frustration exists. Try to warn about pandemics kicked off by eclipses. You try to warn about bipartisan electric kingdom moves that are going to lock us all in a prison. And everyone's focused on all the wrong truth as we keep marching toward the mark of the beast. So they're doubling down. There's no way out of this now. The contracts are already set in stone. And basically all of southern Arkansas is going to become a toxic wasteland. And all the water downstream of this going into the Mississippi is going to be tainted with lithium. This is part of the mining process. Now, what else is going on? Well, obviously, we were pretty accurate at predicting what was going to happen under Trump's first presidency. What about his second presidency? What about if he wins on the 5th of November, which of course was also a date in Back to the Future, the day that Doc Brown discovered time travel? Well, I believe that flying cars will be a thing that is brought to market. And I told you guys that I believe that Elon Musk will likely be the one to produce these flying cars. He's already been working on the project through the SpaceX company. SpaceX-backed flying car startup says it could begin production by 2025. So if Trump's president, it will happen under his watch. Now, if you think about the ramifications of this fits directly into Back to the Future, which of course had the flying car, the DeLorean. And also, I just screened a random movie. I just pulled this random movie up. Captain America, the original Captain America. This was back in 2011. And I put together these screenshots for you, which is what I was working on, which is why I was late today. Let's play this, you guys. A flying car, a blue substance, Hydra. It's all here.
Last night. Gotta get you cleaned up. Why? Where we going? Future. About to be the last eligible man in New York. You know, there's 3.5 million women here.
So this is, of course, Captain America. And there you go with the future. They're at the World's Fair, the world of tomorrow, 1939. There's Trump's globe in front of his international hotel, Columbus Circle. It was a replica from the World's Fairs. He admitted that. Queens, New York. They're going to talk about Queens, New York. The world of tomorrow. Flying cars. Watch.
Last eligible man in New York. You know, there's 3.5 million women here.
A greater world. A better world. Welcome to the Modern Marvels Pavilion and the world of tomorrow.
Mandy, with stark gravitic reversion technology, you'll be able to do just that. What if I told you that in just a few short years, your automobile won't even have to touch the ground at all?
Excuse me? Dr. Abraham Erskine. I represent the Strategic Scientific Reserve.
Steve Rogers. Where are you from?
Queens, 73rd Street and Utopia Parkway. So he sends ahead of Hydra, his research division. Hitler uses his fantasies to inspire his followers. But for Schmidt, it is not fantasy. For him, it is real. He and Hitler share a passion for occult power and Teutonic myth. He has become convinced that there is a great power hidden in the earth, left here by the gods, waiting to be seized by a superior man.
Who the hell are you?
The first of many.
Hail Hydra!
Cut off one head. Two more shall take its place.
Wow. The programming is deep. 2011, the blue substance, HH, Hail Hydra. Now, who is Stark? Stark is probably shaping up to be Elon Musk, right? Stark has to be Elon Musk, who actually is developing the flying cars as we speak, that'll probably come to market under the Trump presidency. Now you know why I'm pretty sure Trump's going to win, because all this programming says he's going to win. It's already been determined. Now, Trump didn't let on that he was buddied up with Elon Musk until about a month ago at a campaign rally, remember? But I told you guys years ago that they were buddies. How did I know this? Well, there were just too many connections to Nikola Tesla and Trump's uncle. There were too many connections for them not to be connected. And Trump was talking about flying cars like last year, wasn't he? So it's obvious to me that Elon Musk will be the one to deliver them, to market them. Now, I know he was already working on this, and they have prototypes out there, but we're talking about a marketable flying car. Now, let's dig in a little bit deeper, because guess what? This flying car, you ready for this? It's called Aleph. Aleph Aeronautics. A SpaceX-backed flying car startup said it could begin production on its electrical vertical takeoff and landing vehicle by 2025. The US-based futuristic car company, currently working on 2-seater and 4-seater flying car models, is backed by Elon Musk's space company SpaceX and Tesla investor Tim Draper. So what is the significance of Aleph? Well, we all know what Aleph is. Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It's the alpha of the omega. Now, the Aleph is represented, of course, by an ox's head. Here are some basic Proto-Sinaitic, Phoenician, and Paleo-Hebrew images of the alpha. It looks like the letter A, which is the basic shape of an ox's head. But there's another version, and that is the vulture, the Egyptian vulture. And this is probably why they named the company Aleph, because of the vulture, which of course flies, flying car. So, what are my predictions 4 years from now? We were pretty accurate the first time, weren't we? What about 4 years from now, after Trump has done his 4-year term? Well, let's talk about those predictions. Number 1, the electric kingdom will be fully established with nuclear power plants and possibly some kind of new free energy invention. Trump will continue to subsidize electric vehicles, even though he says he's against them. He will continue to subsidize them. In other words, there will be subsidies continue to be given out to people who purchase electric vehicles compared to gas vehicles. There will be a possible flying car made by Elon Musk that actually comes to market. At first, only rich people will have them. Kind of like, remember drones? When drones first came out, only rich people had them. And then now everybody's got a drone. It'll be the same thing with the flying cars. And all the while, gas will continue to be quietly phased out state by state. Trump will pretend he can do nothing about it due to state sovereignty, but it will be happening in the backdrop. And everyone will be so blinded by the MAGA magician because he gave us flying cars and all this free electricity that they won't even care about electric cars anymore the way they do now. So if you just tuned in, we're talking about what the next 4 years will look like, and we'll come back 4 years from now, watch this video, and see if we were accurate. Number 2, there will be universal Trump healthcare. It'll remain fully established. They never did away with Obamacare. They just named it Trump Care. Now, why does he need to keep that in place? Well, it's necessary to track and trace for the next pandemic. And all of that will eventually segue into the mark of the beast, because health and everything will be part of it all together. Travel, health, transportation, all will be part of the final mark. Now, number 3, I do expect there will be some freedom cities established on Trump's watch. They're basically the 15-minute city version, liberal version, right? Except it's a freedom city, but it's the same thing with a different brand on it. People will accept it because Trump provided it. Number 4, now that the national real ID, which I warned people was getting forced on all of America, and they kept saying, well, that's a state thing. No, it's not. It's a national ID. It's a federal program of biometrically printing your face on an ID. Well, now most states have adopted it because they've been forced to under the federal government. Much of that happened under the Trump presidency because he endorsed Real ID as a quote-unquote solution to the immigration problem. Do you see how they use the immigration problem to trick us? So, because all that was set up, I believe Trump will roll out biometric face scanning to all Americans after they've fully tested it on the illegals. So it will be biometric face scanning, and people will justify it. They'll say, well, they already have a picture of my face on my real ID. And yes, they do. Well, they won't mind having their faces scanned because the right has already sold out to Trump. They'll just go along with it. They'll say, oh, as long as you can solve the illegal immigration problem, we don't mind having our face scanned. Face scanning, of course, is another essential component to the final mark of the beast. They have to be able to ID you. They have to be able to jab you when they want, which is the track and trace. And they need to be able to assure that you cannot buy or sell without it. Now, number 5, will we have another pandemic under Trump? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I assume they will probably do that again, only because Trump is Apollo. He brings the disease and he brings the cure. So I assume this would likely happen again on his watch. So be ready. We learned a lot from the last time, didn't we? The last place you want to be during a pandemic is in a big city. The lockdowns, the oppressive nature of it, people telling on each other, your business being shut down. Now, tomorrow, we are going to get into the occult roots of the McDonald's arches. Let me give you a sneak peek. This is a secret alphabet called the Witch's Alphabet, used by the MAGA magician cult. Let me say that again. This is a secret alphabet called the Theban alphabet, used by the MAGA magician cult. And as you can see, the letter D is the golden arches. We'll get into all that tomorrow. Couldn't believe that I found that, but I did, and we will cover that in detail, along with some other headlines. There's some stuff popping off with Russia and North Korea, and some other headlines we'll get into tomorrow. Insane. All right, you guys, I'm back in the chat. I know that was a lot today, but I wanted to document all this so you guys know what's going on. Yes, they're doing this 15-minute cities for a reason. They'll probably, great point, Regalanda. They're probably going to put the nuclear power plants very close to those 15-minute cities, and they will tell everyone unlimited energy. So if you live in the 15-minute city, hey, unlimited energy. You're good. And people will be able to charge their cars. It'll probably be almost free to charge your car, and everybody will want an electric car. But guess what? In that city, you will be a prisoner. You'll be a virtual prisoner. You won't even realize you're a prisoner. But when you think about leaving the place and you think about, well, how am I going to charge my car when I leave the 15-minute city? And when we start to see vast stretches of America with no services in between these 15-minute cities, because they're going to cut off gas, people will be trapped in their 15-minute city with their nuclear power plant. There's got to be a document somewhere that describes all this that we're just not finding yet. There has to be a document that talks about the final American prison. Everything locked into cities, 15-minute cities with their own power source and everything else around them cut off. And if someone found that document, it would be the slam dunk. They'll say, oh, you can leave if you want, but then where are you going to go? There won't be anything out there. Yeah, we talked about that, Joy, about the lithium found in Arkansas. We talked about that earlier in the show today, because we talked about that last year, actually. The Smackover Formation. That was a show we did last year. We were trying to ring the alarm bells back then, but now it's too late. The contract has already been signed with Exxon. They are drilling for lithium, and they will have enough for all the electric cars that they need. It's not stopping, and it's not going to stop under Trump. If Trump gets elected, he's not going to undo the drilling for lithium in southern Arkansas. He's not going to undo that. Why would they invest billions of dollars into mining lithium for electric car batteries if Trump keeps his promises? Drill, baby, drill. This is what he's saying, but he's doing something different. Or he will, and he was. Gas is going away. They all know it. They're just telling us it's not going to go away. Oh, your gas is safe. It's going to be a choice. Just like the vaccine was supposed to be a choice. And it didn't end up really being that, did it? For a lot of people. So, yeah, if you just tuned in, rewind, and you can see all that. This was a pretty detailed show. You might have to watch it back to get what I'm actually putting down today, because this is a very important show, because it actually shows you the track record, that we're not just throwing darts at a wall, that everything is meticulous. It also suggests that you tune in every day. You have to tune in every day, otherwise you're going to be lost. So I try to make the shows kind of short. You can put me on 1.5 speed if you need to, but you got to follow along, otherwise you're going to be lost. And this is the criticism a lot of people, because they're not tuning in regularly. And so what happens is they just pop off because they think I'm just throwing darts at a wall. I'm like, no, we talked about that. No, we were right about this. What we said was going to happen actually happened. But they don't see it that way, because people don't have long attention spans. Or they want to see a short, or they want to get focused on kind of the wrong things. I've even been told I'm a distraction. No. The distraction is this right-left paradigm. We're being marched in a bipartisan effort towards a common goal, right and left. They're both working on the same thing. They're just putting different brand labels on it. They're putting a different brand on it. That's all. It's all the same agenda. So, all right, you guys, I love each and every one of you. And what else? Prince of Rain says, shouldn't we stay away from occult teachings? Yeah, you should not believe occult teachings. Absolutely not. But the occult is what rules this society. And everything that you do. The occult is everywhere. When you go to McDonald's, it's the occult. And if you put your head in the sand, then you don't see the threat. And you fall right into the MAGA cult, for instance. What's the MAGA cult? It's the patriotism, which is false worship, essentially. Believing in men over God. Or lumping men in with God. And they lump it in with a feel-good food like McDonald's. It makes you feel good at first. And the marketing. And all of that gets lumped in with this nostalgia. It's the same reason why Americans celebrate Halloween. It's nostalgic. but it's bad. The same way I described to you how the occult is how they get you to want a hamburger. When you see, Trump in there making French fries, makes you want French fries. Till you understand the occult meanings behind all this stuff. Then you go, oh, well, that doesn't sound like such a great idea. So we have to look at this stuff. If you don't, you get deceived. It's plain and simple. If you don't understand it, then you get tricked. Like all the MAGA people that are getting tricked right now, who think he is the good side of a bad equation when they're all the same. So I don't teach the occult in terms of you should follow it. Absolutely not. I hope no one's getting that from these shows. We're exposing the occult. So now I can tell you that in my former religious paradigm that I used to live in, go to church on the weekends, talk about God sometimes, pray for people. That was my former religious paradigm. There was the same fear. Oh, you shouldn't look at that stuff. The devil's powerful. This is what they tell Christian people. Don't look at that. It's scary. The devil's too powerful. This is what you think if you're a big box Christian. It isn't until you step out of that and you realize that that's put in place to make you fear the devil so that he can wreak havoc in your life and control you and make you think that everything's just fine and normal. You guys, if you think everything's fine and normal in America and that we just need to choose the right leader, you're still asleep. Because the Bible says the opposite. It says things will go from bad to worse. It'll be like birth pangs in the end times. It says men cannot rule themselves. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of Bible verses that contradict this feel-good, happy thing that a lot of Americans have. We think everything's just fine, and it's not. And that's not being negative. That's believing the Bible and having faith in what the Bible says. We know we're in the end times, so how can it be feel good? I'm proud to be an American. Everything's just fine as long as we choose Donald Trump. How can it be that way when the Bible says just the opposite? How? It can't, can it? And if you sit down and you think about all that for a minute, then you begin to understand that these concerns that I have and this proof that I show is real. That we're trying to figure this out. And then you wake up and you realize so many people are deceived. Now, our joy is supposed to be in the next world. We're supposed to find the joy in the simple things. We're supposed to find joy in nature. All the things that are close to God is where we're supposed to find our joy in life. Okay? And when I show you guys the joy in my life, which is the Honey Milk Ranch, it's crazy how few people tune into that. That's true joy. That is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be sitting and watching nature. We're supposed to be working on home projects, preparing our homestead. We're supposed to be talking about friends. But yet, so few people tune into that. That's the true joy we're supposed to be having. We're not supposed to be sitting around thinking about how well our 401k did under Trump. We're not supposed to be thinking about those things. We're not supposed to be all excited about an election and running to vote so that Trump can make America great again. That's not true joy. So now you see the frustration. All the stuff that's important to God, nobody really cares about in this reality. And it shocks me sometimes. It's a very, very narrow path. Very narrow. So, crazy. Now, I'll save this for the Honey Milk Ranch channel, but my friend, they got their first deer, and I actually got to help undress the deer, I should say, because that's what you're essentially doing. But I got to grind the beef and everything. I didn't get any of it on film just because I just didn't, because, you know, it's a dirty process kind of. But I'll maybe talk about that for the weekend video on the backup channel. These are the things we're supposed to be preparing for, because when times get hard, all the people that are criticizing people like me for taking animals out of nature are going to be begging. They're going to be out walking in the forest when all the Walmarts shut down, and they're going to be begging someone for deer meat. Trust me. And you know what? As good Christians, we'll probably give it to them, even though they did nothing to help prepare for it. Because that's what God would want us to do, right? That's what he would want us to do. People have very short memories. Just 200 years ago. That's what people lived on. They lived on wildlife. There weren't huge, conglomerates, butchering beef and huge cattle ranchers 200 years ago. Everyone had their own cattle ranch. They got their own deer. For some reason, people are living in some kind of alternate reality where they're actually angry at people like me for trying to help prepare people for tough times that are coming. Tough times. Now, fortunately, I live in an area where a lot of the people out here kind of think the same way. They're like, we ain't going to go hungry. Because we're not. Gosh, I have so many squirrels here. Even if all the deer ran out, there's 1 billion squirrels here. You can eat squirrels forever. So, crazy times, you guys. Crazy times. People can't even see that America's been dismantled. And it didn't matter what president it was under. We've literally been dismantled. We don't make anything anymore. Everything's imported. And the minute all that goes away, where's it going to come from? Where's it going to come from? We just think this is going to go on forever? Now, this is tough talk for some people, but I'm praying that God's still small voice talks to them and says, you know what? Casey's right. And if you're on the fence about whatever, maybe this will push you over the edge to start thinking differently about where we're headed. Start thinking a little bit differently. This isn't all wine and roses. America's great. We trust our government. Everything's going to be fine as long as we have the right leader. That's fantasy world. It's fantasy world. Do you think Donald Trump actually eats McDonald's? Do you really think he does? No, but he's going to play to the people that do. Total political stunt. He wouldn't be caught dead eating McDonald's unless he's doing it for a photo op. But he wants everyone to think he does because that's middle America. That's nostalgia. He was tapping into that. It's a magic trick. It's a magic trick. It's no different than Joe Biden eating fried chicken with black people. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. But we're blinded by it because it's ritual sorcery. We're blinded by it. It's no different than Joe Biden trying to talk like he's a black person sometimes. It's the same thing. All right. I'm in the chat, you guys. I'll get off the soapbox now. Let's listen to what you guys have to say. It's a MAGA trick. Absolutely 100%. Yeah, I get birds clinging to my screens too sometimes, Jess. Yeah, they I don't know if it's the vibration on the window. Usually it's when I'm in here talking. They'll land on the screen and look inside. Have you done a show on the Constitution? How do you feel about that? No, I don't think I've done a full show on the Constitution, to be honest with you. I feel like the Constitution, if I had to give you thoughts off the top of my head, was kind of put in place to give us a false sense of freedom. They had to put something down in writing to give people hope, right? But my personal feeling is that we were never free from England. That was just a fake independence. It wasn't real. This is why they all kiss the hand of the Queen, or used to when she was alive. I don't know what they've done with Mr. Dracula, Prince Charles, or King Charles. Probably still do. All right. Oh yeah, Asheville has lots of lithium as well. Yes. We covered that in a video. Hurricane slammed right into the place where the local, it was Gaston. Was it Gaston County? My memory serves me correctly. They were opposing the lithium mine and it got forced onto them. It was a zoning battle. And then no sooner did it get forced on them, the hurricane blew through and annihilated Gaston County, which is where that lithium plant was supposed to go. So, yes, a new world communist government is what's coming. Now, they'll call it something different. They'll pretend that we're not under it, but it's going to be the same thing. You guys were already here. You know how many rules there are? The only thing missing with the rules is the technology to enforce it, which is now coming online. Artificial intelligence will enforce every single law they make. This is why I tell you, don't agree to fake laws or bad laws. You can't say, oh, well, don't worry about that. I'm never going to do that wrong. No, if they make a bad law, we have to protest every single bad law they make. Prime example, it should never, ever, ever, ever be against the law to collect rainwater. I don't care what state you live in. That's a human basic right. I don't care what the water laws are or whatever. No state in America under federal law should ever do that. The Fed should overturn that. Supreme Court should overturn that. Why aren't people fighting that fight? That's like basically, that's an inalienable right, in my opinion, to collect rainwater. An inalienable right. You know, the Constitution used to be a document that, if you read between the lines, it protected people from having to be forced into the economic system. If you really think about it, that's what the Constitution was supposed to be about. To let you as an individual maintain your independence, to speak freely, to carry a weapon, to defend yourself if you're out in the wild and you want to sleep outside, to have the right to carry a weapon. That was for wild animals too. It wasn't just about, governments, defending against governments. To me, it was more about being in the wild and being on a homestead and protecting yourself from all that. So there's some thoughts about the Constitution. Now that we have a society, right, and civilization, they want to stop people from doing basic things. If you are in a body of water, a large body of water, you should be able to go to the bathroom, just like all the other wildlife does. Remember Lieutenant Dan? That should not be against the law. Now, if you're living in a house, you want to flush a toilet and it goes to the ocean, that's different. But there are microorganisms that break all that stuff down because it's happening with billions and trillions of tons of biomass in the ocean every single day. So what's the difference if you're swimming and you need to go to the bathroom? What's the difference? They tell you there's a difference, like, oh, it transfers disease. What about the disease from all the manatees floating around out there in whales? Are we getting diseases from them? Oh, humans are different. Now, that's just a silly example, but think about it. That should be a basic right. Let's say you want to go moor a boat or go off into the ocean. Well, not happening. I don't know. That's probably an extreme example. I mean, if you had a bunch of boats in one area, maybe that's bad. I don't know. I'm just tired of all the rules in America. We're supposed to be free, and there's a lot of rules. One of you told me you lived in Florida. You said, Casey, Florida is not as free as you think it is. Well, the news says it is. I'm speaking facetiously here. The news says that Florida's free, right? Everybody moves there because they think, oh, it's freedom, conservatives. And then I hear from you guys, it's like living in Gestapo Germany. Show me your papers, a million different rules. You leave your house and you're breaking a rule already. Okay, so some of you don't like my poop in the water. All right. Okay, let's say in the bay, you can't do it. Okay, in the bay, you're not allowed to. But if you're out in the middle of the ocean, right? I don't know. The ocean's a big place. And there's few people compared to the amount of ocean there is when you're out in the ocean. Jones in Florida, she says the millionaires took over. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Like all the rich conservatives moved in, and then now there's a billion rules, and it's not a happy place to live anymore. Okay. All right, you guys, guess I'm going to pop off here. Get ready for tomorrow's show. I'll put links to some of this stuff in the pinned comment. I love each and every one of you. You'll be much happier once you don't have the enemy's hooks in you as much as possible. There's little ways to do it here and there. You should be trying to get out of debt today. You should be trying to either pay off your mortgage or, the last thing you want to be doing in this age is refinancing your house and pulling money out. The future is so uncertain. Jobs are uncertain now. You want to start to circle the wagons. You want to start living a life where you're not consuming as much stuff. And I'm talking about food. I'm talking about cars. I'm talking about property and all those things. Contrary to what America tells you to do, because they're telling you just the opposite of what I'm telling you. They want you to take on debt to improve your credit score. They want you to get more properties and build and increase your empire. And you can be rich like Donald Trump. This is the message that he's selling. America will be great. You just wait until he gets elected. Your investments will go through the roof because Trump can do no wrong and people believe this stuff. So you want to start to back the car out of the garage, so to speak. It was the best thing I ever did in my life. I used to have money. I used to have houses and new cars. And when I say houses, I'm talking about houses in areas where you're gonna pay $2,000 a month minimum. You're gonna pay for a mortgage or you're gonna pay rent. But now I live in the country and it's a fraction of that for what I paid for housing. And I'm much happier. I have much less stress in my life, which is why I'm able to dedicate my whole life to doing this on this channel. And so this is why I can show up every day for you guys with new content and new stuff and try to help you through these last days to give you some advice. All right, you guys. I guess I'll finally pop off here. Have a great rest of your day. Much love.